Welcome to the Parent Life with the Ascension School of Spirituality. I am one of your mentors, Wendy Sexton. I am an alchemy life coach and an energy healer. I'm glad to be here with Jennifer here today.
And I'm Jennifer Feaster, a marriage family therapist that does intuitive energy healing as well, working with individuals, couples, and families. And I'm glad to be with Wendy.
So today we both really wanted to talk about how parenting is often teaching us, and how our children or the people in our lives that we are helping to lead or shape are often reflecting back to us something that we can benefit from, even when it feels like um, something chaotic or something that unnerves us, that there's always a gift for us in that.
Yeah.
Jennifer? Yeah.
Have you ever heard Matt Kahn talk? He talks about whatever arises, love that.
Yeah.
And that's something that Wendy and I have talked about before, that so much arises in us from our children, what they're doing, and if we can look at that as a gift and see, like, with love, what it's reflecting to us, that's the opportunity for growth.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm really just seeing, I've noticed, I've heard a lot over time that, our children are our teachers. And, I think it's one of those things that we learn. Um, it's a truth that grows with us over time, the significance of it. You know, I'm reminded right now even of just a sunrise, when a kid first sees it, ooh, the sun, and they're really intrigued. And then it just becomes the sun every day. And then I think as we get older, we learn to appreciate it more. So that's kind of what this is learning to appreciate this message at a deeper level and really understanding more how our kids are teaching us or what they're showing us. Um, for instance, one of my daughters, well, they both love tactile play. Sand and Play-Doh and slime is the biggest thing these days in little ones. Um, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's a mess. We don't want to do that. But, if I step back and say, maybe there's a part of me that needs to get in and get messy. Maybe I've been caught up too much in trying to keep things clean and trying to, make sure all of our ducks are in a row. And maybe when they're bringing that out, it's actually a message for me to sit down with them and do something fun, because that tactile stimulation in your hands can be really soothing for your body. There's a reason kids do things instinctively in the way they play, like babies even exploring toys. They don't only look and feel and listen. A lot of them are noisy toys as they stick everything in their mouth. you know and so I think we as adults that we get out of that, like we get into keeping things neat and tidy and don't realize that, oh, that was actually serving my body at some way, as a stress reliever. Because I think that's what my daughter's doing when she plays with that slime. She's kind of kneading it and playing with it like dough. um, and to her it's fun, but I think it's that stress reliever that her body knows she needs, and to her it's just fun. And sometimes I've forgotten to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think of a couple things. One is, I know when I'm overreacted to my kid's messy room, for example, that it happened when I was super exhausted. And I also just didn't feel like cleaning up. And that's when I would be most frustrated with my kids for not cleaning up. Otherwise, it would be easy to just go in and say, let's start cleaning this up. I'll do this, you do that. and I could be reasonable. But when I got triggered, it
Mm.
was when I wanted to say, I don't feel like cleaning up. I just, and that, to give myself permission to do that. Like my kids would really demonstrate that. They didn't feel this pressure that they had to clean up after themselves.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And it is, I don't know how many people are familiar with the word trigger, but like you said, there's things that just set us off, like either into anger or sadness or whatever it is that we, usually recognize that we've gone from, you know, responding appropriately to, oh my gosh, I went really far out there.
The
And
sudden big emotion.
yeah, yeah. And those sudden big emotions are the places where we, if we step back a little bit and say, oh, wow, that was a big one. There's always some kind of golden nugget, I feel like, behind that. If we see, how wise of you to say, oh, that's because I didn't want to clean up. So that's why it really made me get over the top because you didn't clean up. You
Mhm.
know, yeah, that's a good one because I don't think I've definitely done that, but I don't know that I recognize that that's why. So,
Well, usually when we get those big emotions, it's because the other person's reflecting either something we don't allow ourselves, like some shadow part of us, a part that we're not as loving to. So
mhm,
it's either some part of us we don't like, or some part of us we're not allowing in. Um, so it can be something positive or negative. Like I think I told you another time about my son reflected it by not, he wasn't doing his homework. I tried all the strategies I read in books, and ultimately nothing worked until I realized the frustration was coming because of my internal world, that
mhm,
I was ignoring how much I wanted to go back to school and get a master's. So once I realized that and got involved in school, then I let go of all that tension and putting it on my son. And then he did his homework more easily. I mean, not like, wasn't night and day, but it was just, there was no tension around it anymore. Do as much as you want. I mean, he was already high school age. So, but boy, it took a little while to get there. And that relief when I realized, oh, it's about me. And most of the parenting struggles are about us as parents. So that is something that Wendy and I have talked a lot about, and really have started these videos to help parents come to that realization of what is it in them, to relieve that tension that
mhm,
is really an opportunity for growth.
yeah. Yeah, and I love that because I have seen so much. I know both of us have done a lot of self growth, a lot of looking in and, our patterns. And, and in order for me to feel more at peace, in order for me to feel less triggered less often, and the kids are really giving us those opportunities. And so that's something we wanted to talk about more going forward is finding the blessing or finding that little nugget of wisdom or insight or aha. And oh boy, this really is more about me than it is about them, perhaps. And one thing I've noticed is, um, some of my courses would be 4 or 5 days long that I would be away, out of state even. And my kids wouldn't know what was happening, what I was working through while I was at these courses, but always a lot of deep work. And I'd come home and our interactions would change. They would be brighter. And even I noticed the dogs changing. I've got two rescue dogs, and the changes, especially in the one that's definitely had some abuse before we got him. It's just amazing because they're that reflection of what's going on with us. So as I would become more centered and find that state of peace, I would see it reflected in them and more joy reflected in them. So that's really what we hope to help bring to all of you is, just opening that lens and lightening that load of the heaviness of sometimes what things feel like. I think when we can step back and say, oh, wow, okay, this might be something different than what meets the eye right in front of me.
Yeah, when we're at that place of knowing what's going on in us and calmer, then our kids will pick up on that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when they do create the big emotion, we can say, thank you. There's something new I get to release, to lighten.
Yeah.
And so we both work individually with people to help lighten those things.
Mm-hmm. So check us out too at the Ascension School. We've both got some services to um, help with understanding yourself better, understanding what's going on in your family or your community that you're dealing with, um, so that we can all, raise that energy and, share those good vibes from one another and hopefully live a little less stress.
And we're going to do another parent workshop on May 5th. And that's a place, in a little more intimate setting that we can actually do some individual work with specific big emotions that are coming up around your children or other people in your life. So we hope you'll join us.
Mm.
We'll have more information connected to the video. So thanks for joining us today. And as always, we want you to remember that you're already a better parent than you think you are. And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.